30 years ago, a ritual took place attempting to summon a powerful godlike being to save the world from a fearsome dragon. Yet, the ritual failed and no savior emerged. Fast forward to the present, where Yuji suddenly finds himself transported to a different world. Gazing at a mysterious status window floating before him, he assumes it's a dream. Curious, Yuji examines the window and discovers he's a level 1 tamer. To test his newfound abilities, he tames a slime and follows it into a dense forest until he reaches a hut. While exploring, Yuji stumbles upon a hidden library. Intrigued, he opens one to see if he can understand the language. As soon as he reads the title, he gains 4 magical abilities and a significant boost in his stats. Several slimes appear, surrounding Yuji. He tames them all, and the slimes eagerly begin devouring the book's knowledge. Their reading frenzy grants Yuji limitless skills, eventually transforming his class into Sage. This newfound power allows him to create his own magic and even enables his tamed creatures to speak and even use magic for him. Traveling to a nearby city, Yuji tames a wolf along the way. Upon arrival, he decides to register as an adventurer. To conceal his true power, he only reveals his ability to tame slimes and track enemies, earning him the lowest adventurer rank, D. To keep his power hidden, Yuji chooses simple missions like collecting herbs. But fate has other plans when he joins forces with 2 girls on a quest to track down an earth dragon. Using his slimes, Yuji clears the surrounding area of monsters, allowing the group to progress safely and swiftly. But suddenly, the sky turns an ominous shade of black. Yuji's wolf companion reports a massive blue dragon nearby, forcing the group to retreat into a canyon. As they navigate the treacherous landscape, Yuji directs his tamed creatures to fend off any lurking monsters. As the group approaches Delight Canyon, a powerful gust of wind assaults them. One girl mentions a rumor that the earth dragon they're hunting creates such winds, but she remains skeptical. To their horror, the earth dragon ambushes them. The girls flee in terror while Yuji confronts the beast. He casts weak spells against it, but they have no effect on the mighty dragon. Desperate to keep his true abilities hidden from the girls, Yuji cleverly uses the canyon's wind gusts to shroud the earth dragon in the dust. He swiftly eliminates the creature, and the girls credit his victory to igniting underground ore deposits. Back at the Adventurers Guild, the group reports their triumph over the earth dragon. Reynard, the guild leader, invites Yuji to a meeting about the mysterious blue dragon spotted in the canyon. With his slime's help, Yuji presents a detailed image of the beast. Stale, a priest, shares a legend about the blue dragon that foretells its destruction of the land within 3 days. He explains that only the divine emissary, a being with godlike powers, could defeat it. Reynard recalls a summoning ritual conducted 30 years ago by the church, meant to call forth the divine emissary. Intriguingly, the ritual's effects were predicted to manifest 30 years later, coinciding with Yuji's arrival in this world. As the sky darkens once more, Yuji's slimes report the blue dragon's growth. Reynard proclaims they must defeat the fearsome creature. After the meeting, Stale gives Yuji a relic dagger from the capital. Yuji appraises the weapon as the knife of Kethais and questions Stale's reasoning. Stale simply asserts that it was meant for Yuji to wield, as he believes him to be the divine emissary. Later, in his room, Yuji receives a report from his slime that the blue dragon continues to grow, heightening the urgency of the situation. Determined to keep his power a secret, Yuji resolves to confront the blue dragon that very night. With the help of his tamed monsters, he inflicts significant damage on the beast, using both the Knife of Kethais and a potent Hellfire of Demise spell. However, the onslaught only destroys the dragon's left eye. Drained of mana, Yuji casts the powerful Divine Strike spell. Combining it with the Knife of Kethais and the Hellfire of Demise spell, he manages to sever the dragon's neck, finally defeating the creature. The following morning, Reynard visits Yuji's room to share the news of the dragon's defeat. Yuji pretends to not know, but Reynard sees through the act. He advises Yuji to trust others more and seek help in future battles. Realizing his secret has been discovered, Yuji decides to leave the city. He goes to the guild and asks the receptionist for recommendations on where to journey next. She suggests Virginia and urges him to seek out Jajal, a renowned craftsman known for creating exceptional monster armor. Upon arriving in Virginia, Yuji seeks out Jajal to craft armor for his slimes and wolf. But as he tests the new equipment, Jajal discovers the tamed monsters are too powerful for even his finest creations. To forge armor strong enough for Yuji's full power, they must defeat a nearby fire dragon, who resides deep within a volcano. As Yuji ponders his next move, a slime reports that monsters in the area are behaving strangely. He sends his wolf and slimes to scout the vicinity for any suspicious activity. They soon spot a pair of men, each carrying 2 barrels on their backs. Suddenly, the volcano erupts, and the mighty fire dragon emerges. An invisible slime eavesdrops on the 2 men's conversation and learns they're following instructions from individuals in Ordarian. Intent on uncovering their intentions, Yuji uses a magical net spell to apprehend the men. However, they choose to take their own lives rather than face interrogation. Meanwhile, Yuji's wolf warns him that the fire dragon is approaching the city. As the dragon nears the river, Yuji releases a barrier he had set up, unleashing a torrent of water that submerges the creature. Despite this onslaught, the fire dragon remains a threat, preparing to launch a massive fireball at a nearby village. Yuji swiftly casts Permafrost Curse through a slime, freezing the dragon solid. It shatters, leaving behind a valuable jewel. Yuji takes the jewel to Jagel's shop and requests that it be used to create the best equipment he ever made. He then visits the Adventurers Guild to inquire about Ordarian and continues his journey. Upon arriving in Ordarian, Yuji and his companions head straight to the Adventurers Guild. But he senses the watchful eyes of the townspeople and opts to leave, but not before placing a slime to eavesdrop on a conversation between 2 men discussing his arrival. They are members of the Blue Moon of Salvation, a secretive cult group. The men plan to consult Master Walter for guidance on handling Yuji's presence in town. As Yuji listens in, Stale and a companion approach him. Yuji shares his discovery that the Blue Moon of Salvation has taken control of the town's guild, and they are wary of Stale too. Stale proceeds to reveal his past connection with Walter and the origins of the Blue Moon Church. Initially, the church began as a way to honor fallen comrades, eventually growing into a large organization. Walter joined and became Stale's right-hand man. However, Walter's dark ambitions led him to attack the church, seizing control and transforming it into the ominous Blue Moon of Salvation. Stale had journeyed to Ordarian to warn Yuji and urge him to confront Walter as the divine emissary, hoping to thwart Walter's evil plan to purify the world. Although Yuji denies being the divine emissary, Stale insists that the one who wields the dagger of Kethais is the chosen one. The next day, when Yuji seeks to speak with Stale, he discovers that Stale and Johann have left town. He sends 2 slimes to track them down. Guided by the slimes, Yuji follows their trail as Stale and Johann encounter a group of Blue Moon members. Stale defends himself against the cultists, only to be betrayed by Johann, who binds him with a magical rope and shocks him into unconsciousness. When Stale wakes up, he realizes that Walter orchestrated the events to lure Yuji to this location. Before Johann can eliminate Stale, Yuji bursts onto the scene. Yuji quickly casts Barrier, shielding himself and Stale from the fireball Johann hurls at them, and dispels the magical bindings that restrain Stale. Walter, delighted that Stale has led Yuji to their hideout, orders his followers, who transform into monsters, to rise and eliminate their unwelcome guests. As Yuji battles the monsters, Walter and Johann slip away. Undeterred, Yuji's group tracks them down to a chamber where Walter sits on a throne-like chair, morphing into a demonic figure. Yuji tries to interrupt the transformation by launching a fireball, but to no avail. Now fully transformed, Walter assaults the group. The wolf jumps in front of Yuji and Stale, shielding them from a devastating blow. Walter's form shifts again, taking on a dragon-like figure. As another attack hurdles Stale, Yuji creates dual anti-physical and magical barriers to protect him. Yuji counters with a fireball, but his aim is off, and the attack misses its target. Yuji directs the wolf, carrying a group of slimes on his back, to leap into the air. The slimes simultaneously launch multiple fireballs in different directions. Although Walter dodges the initial barrage, Yuji relentlessly hurls more fireballs, finally landing a hit. Surprisingly, the fireballs barely faze him. Switching tactics, Yuji has his slimes and wolf equip the accessories crafted by Jagel, and casts magical and physical enhancement spells on them. Working together, they manage to overwhelm and severely wound Walter. Desperate, Walter absorbs Dragon's Grace from one of the awakened ones to heal himself. Undeterred, Yuji lands another fireball hit, forcing Walter to absorb more power from the awakened ones, healing himself and sprouting an additional pair of arms. Yuji continues his fireball assault, but Walter persistently recovers. Recognizing the power within Walter is a curse, Yuji hops onto the wolf and casts the spell, petrifying Walter's feet and trapping him in a magical net. Yuji casts Hellfire of Demise on Walter, delivering a fatal blow. With his last breath, Walter cryptically expresses hope to see his promised revelation. Stale relays this to Yuji as the throne-like chair Walter used to transform absorbs all the dragon's grace in the area, forming a being called the Sage. Stale reveals the Sage's history as a former emissary and explains Walter's plan to resurrect him. Suddenly, the throne starts to overload and the Sage godlike powers come from the sky. He immediately unleashes Hellfire of Demise, devastating the surrounding area. Fortunately, Yuji's group remains unharmed, protected by barriers. Yuji casts multiple enhancement spells on his monsters and sends them skyward to attack the Sage with Fireball. The attack fails, and the Sage retaliates with Hellfire of Demise. Yuji directs his slimes to surround the Sage, launching a barrage of fireballs that fail to harm him. Noticing his mana dropping, Yuji wonders if the Sage possesses infinite mana. He uses his slimes to ground the Sage, and they exchange powerful Hellfire of Demise spells. Finally, Yuji gains the upper hand against the Sage. When the smoke clears, the Sage appears unharmed. Changing tactics, he activates several artificial rainmakers filled with Dragon's Grace, causing a downpour. The Sage reveals his past to Yuji, explaining that he sacrificed himself to defeat a dragon in his lifetime. This act filled his soul with regret, as he realized that even though sages exist to save the world from dragons, more powerful monsters will continue to appear. The Sage aimed to break this cycle by causing monsters to go berserk and kill everyone. Seeking to grant Yuji his random salvation, the Sage casts Hellfire of Decimation on him. Yuji defends himself with a multi-layered barrier and counterattacks with his own Hellfire of Decimation. The two engage in an intense battle, exchanging powerful spells. Yuji casts multiple enhancement spells and transfers them to everyone fighting against the monster outbreaks. Stale informs Yuji about a divine message predicting divine judgment during an eclipse. However, the sky is covered with dark purple clouds, making it difficult to know when the eclipse will occur. Yuji then uses a mana potion to recover most of his lost MP. He creates magical barriers to leap into the air and confront the Sage. The Sage questions why Yuji chose to defend the world, and Yuji replies that he has no specific reason. Deep down, though, Yuji thinks about all the people he has met and believes the world is better as it is. As the Sage casts multiple Hellfire of Decimation spells at Yuji, he counters with the same spell. The Sage taunts Yuji, saying it's only a matter of time before he is incinerated by the powerful Hellfire of Decimation. Yuji agrees but spots an opportunity. The Divine Strike move he used against the Blue Dragon will be available in less than 45 seconds. He thinks this is the judgment mentioned earlier. When the Divine Strike is ready, Yuji uses it against the Sage, sending him crashing to the ground. He quickly uses it again multiple times, keeping the Sage off balance. Yuji then pulls out the Dagger of Kethais and, with the help of his slimes, casts Divine Strike on the dagger. This clears the sky, revealing an ongoing eclipse. With the empowered dagger in hand, Yuji casts multiple spells to create an impenetrable barrier around the Sage and himself. He strikes the Sage with the dagger, finally defeating him. Watch this next video. See you on the next one.